Welcome back to The Watch. And Tyrant, what do you know about Harry and Meghan Markle?
I know some stuff.
I know some stuff too.
Yeah. He used to be a lad. No, I mean, there's just no other way to put it. He used to be a lad, and now he's
A cuck.
Yeah, I was going to say reformed, but yeah, why not?
I don't know. Look, that's just I don't know if there's anything. He's not an official one, but it's almost like he's being put into a certain box.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is something I kind of want to preface before we dive into it, right? There's only one to maybe two couple reasons why I even care about these two people. And they're not good reasons, okay? I have an issue, like a big issue, with false victims. People that claim to be victims when they're actually insanely privileged. And it bothers the heck out of me. And when people do that, I like to see them exposed. And then they deserve the scrutiny and attention that they're getting. And because this is the thing, like, everyone in life, I feel, has their own trials and issues, okay? I have mine. I could dwell on them. But no, because this is the reality. With all the problems that I have in my life, the reality is my life is insanely blessed, and I'm incredibly lucky. And there are so many people who are worse off than me that complaining about my lot in life feels like would just show incredible ingratitude.
So there's a couple of little different aspects. I want to start with the culture aspect, because in terms of culture, Australians have far more in common with Englishmen in terms of culture than
and
we
history
do,
as well.
Yeah. Than Americans.
Yeah, and I actually love that part about Australian history and Australian culture, because that is my heritage. Like, if I go to my ancestors, it's Irish, English, Scottish, and Welsh, okay? Australia is a very young, when I say young country, I'm talking about when it was formed. As,
relatively speaking.
Yeah, I know we have one of the oldest civilization, or peoples. They didn't really build civilization, but one of the oldest peoples in the world. Like they have found remains of the Aboriginal people, like, going really far back. But yeah, like, I love that connection. I like that Australia's part of the monarchy. I actually like the monarchy. Well, actually, I'm not a fan of Prince Charles. But
This is one of those things where, as an Australians, we have a really complicated relationship with the monarchy, because in theory, I love that it's ancient and it's tradition and it's part of our heritage going way back. But at the same time, as an Australian and as someone who loves freedom and independence, on this side, I'm like, okay, I really hope the UK keep your traditions, keep your monarchy, keep it all. But in Australia, how about we just become a republic? How about we become independent? Like, that's
but
just how I
we have all those freedoms. There wouldn't be too much difference.
Don't though.
Well, I'm sorry, when I say we're functioning as an independent nation as much as we would if we were a republic, and don't get me wrong, there are certain freedoms that I wish we had, which we don't, but those problems would still exist, and probably worse if we were a republic. That's a different topic.
That is a whole can of worms. But then there's the culture aspect.
Yes.
And then there's the victim aspect. When we have an entire culture that now encourages it and rewards it, we get a whole lot of what's been happening lately.
Where they want attention, they want sympathy, and it also is something that people can grift off of. I mean, this is like there are so many people this is. I don't know if it's new to you. Where have you been in the world? Because so many people claim to be and a fake victimhood and fake disability to get attention and money. Like, do you hear about, like, that streamer that claimed to be paralyzed, and he was
that
like,
the one in the wheelchair, and then he got up?
Yeah, he got up on stream.
Yeah, I see that one. Yeah.
Yeah, people absolutely fake being not only victims but also disabilities and stuff to grift and get attention.
There's nothing wrong with supporting real victims.
Exactly.
And real people. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
But this is why it makes so vile when people fake it.
Yes.
And especially when they are some of the most privileged people on the planet.
Yeah.
And now we come to Harry and Meghan.
And they are both privileged. Like, this isn't like...
What was that friggin'
a prince?
Well, he is a prince.
Yeah.
I say he was because I'm at the point where I think the royal family should disown him and actually do that paternity test that is long overdue.
Yeah. So there is they are both insanely pretty. First off, she's an actor, and from what I gather of her childhood, she had I don't want to say an overprivileged childhood, but a fine childhood. That's from what I understand.
And I just want to inject, this is all the preamble to the South Park episode, by the way. This is just leading up to that. And so I don't want people to think this is like...
A bit of backstory.
Here.
But Harry had... I do respect that he went into the military. And actually, from what I understand, went and fought.
Turns out he did not do as much in the military as certain claims have said. Like, he was coddled and protected.
But it's still more than most people do. So I'm going to respect that either way.
Yeah, like, more information is being revealed about this guy. He's been a drug addict his whole life.
Oh, yeah, he wrote a book, which he was honest in.
Too honest. And
yeah.
Again, this just shows how two-faced and duplicitous these people are, because he's claimed, the press attention has been so terrible, I just want my privacy. South Park nailed this so well.
Yeah.
And then he makes this bullcrap memoir thing, which actual people who know, like, facts and history, it's like, this is riddled with absolute bullcrap. It's so inaccurate on so many levels. And then he shares such insane... cringe stuff that no one wants to know about, like getting frostbite on his...
Nathan, can you look that up?
Like, and it's like, this is a guy, I'm so sick of the attention, that then he throws this out and he's attacking the royal family. This guy is desperate for attention. He's like, he has no actual confidence or sense of self-value. He needs validation from everyone else, and that book is just case in point in a pattern of behavior for not only him, Meghan as well, that these people are narcissistic in the extreme.
Well, she is. I don't think he was originally. I think he's been...
He seems like unbelievably dim-witted. And I didn't think that until some of the quotes of his book came out. And I want to share one with you guys, because it is next level stupid.
Go for it.
And so we'll bring that up just to demonstrate. And when you have people that are genuinely dumb, that means that they're very easy to manipulate and control.
Well, it's one of those. Well, I think that's where the culture thing is. The American is able to. What's the right word for it? Influence other culture, like
appropriate. Is that a term?
Perhaps. We've seen this in the last couple of years. American culture has been infecting other parts of the world where we share.
I mean, there's good and bad things about that.
Yes.
Like, I want American culture to infect, China and North Korea, because there's underlining themes of freedom and individualism that these countries need to get exposure to.
But it's at a I'm pretty sure there was an issue kids these days are starting to speak speak with American accents because they just consume so much American media. Like we have an issue where there's too much American everywhere that we start to lose our own touch with our own culture a bit.
There are definitely cultural things that seep through bad culture, like the whole woke movement. Is seeping through everywhere, and the crazy stuff you see in the US eventually comes to.
Well, I was about to say they export their problems. The problem is the context in pretty much every other country in the world is very different.
I know, like the whole history of, say, race and everything like that is very different in America versus Britain or Canada
or the UK or Australia. It's all very, very different and very specific. It's almost as if it happened in separate places.
The whole George Floyd thing, there were protests in UK about police brutality when that was brutality. And by the way, that's such a more complex thing as to what caused that man's death, right?
We're not going down there.
We're not going to go into there. There's another rabbit hole, right? But seriously, They think the problems in America are problems everywhere else.
They think that they just translate over, and they don't. They just don't make sense in other parts of the country, especially in the... I'm not going back into that.
Okay, but case in point to Harry's genius intellect.
I asked him to remind me, what was this editor's name? He said it, and I committed it to memory. But in the years since then, I've avoided speaking it, and I don't wish to repeat it here. Spare the reader, but also myself. Besides, can it possibly?
Even the tone. Sorry, I just like, I am such a tormented, oppressed individual. And it's so tormenting that I wouldn't even share it with you. Sorry. Like, even this level of just performative
You're a prince, mate.
victimhood is beyond the pale for me, and I would check out already. And we're not even up to the dumb part. But
It'd be a coincidence that the name of the woman who pretended I went to rehab is a perfect anagram for rehabber crooks.
What? Quick translate that. What was what?
Okay, so an anagram
Yeah,
is
I know
when
what
you
I know
rearrange.
I know what an anagram
But
is.
for people who don't,
right,
like for instance, Harry Potter has an anagram with Tom Riddle. When it rearranges, I am
Rearrange
Lord Voldemort.
letters.
And so an anagram is when you can rearrange letters to write something else. Okay. The name of the editor that talked about his rehab thing,
Yeah.
he's like, is it a straight? And it makes a perfect anagram for rehabber crooks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, quick translate that. What?
It's not words, Harry.
Exactly. What?
It has rehab in it, but he couldn't do the rest, so he just made gibberish for the rest of it. And he unironically proposes this as some really intelligent thing. It's a perfect anagram for rehab.
And this is real, right?
This is real. This is from his thing. And he continues.
Is the universe not saying something there?
And he attributes it to, this is the universe. When you make an anagram, it shouldn't be gibberish with only one portion of a word in there.
Okay, so rehabber crooks.
And do you want to know the name of the original thing? Let me look it up. Oh, Rebecca Brooks is the original name that he's making the anagram from.
Any relation?
No, not in relation to me. And so this is a meme. It's like, make an anagram of Rebecca Brooks. Rehabber Crooks is like, well, that's very good for your first try. You know what? Have a ball. Perhaps you'd like to bounce it.
Wow. All right. Okay.
So the guy is a brainlet.
Yeah, that is
That's
that is a brainlet take. Yes.
So if there is a claim of victimhood, I think you could say that he is being taken advantage of by people manipulating him. For
Whoever
their
let
own-
him actually publish that, like,
So it was ghostwritten, but he signed off on everything, right?
Right.
And this is the type of thing where the guy's is an idiot. And there's another clip where someone talks about how he got terrible scores on all his thing, and he was basically let in university, even though he failed the test to get in.
that's called privilege.
And he had to leave the military because he couldn't pass the test that he needed to pass to get promoted.
Right.
And so, when you think of what it was a ghostwriter that had this genius level take,
Yeah.
or was it the guy that's?
I reckon it was him.
Yeah, it was him. Yeah, I
It was
reckon
him.
that's definitely an insert from him that he gave the ghostwriter.
I just the more that I think about this, I think, why do people care? Like, I understand why people in the UK care, because it's your prince. He was never king, and he's a prince that was an idiot.
Mm-hmm. The thing that makes me interested is, again, the grift, the disingenuous nature that, again, he's such a privileged person trying to just get attention and get sympathy points and everything like that. And when, dude, I'm not saying you haven't had difficult things in your life, but holy crap, you're not paralyzed, right? Yeah. You're not living in poverty and truly scraping by it to just have an existence.
I think at the start, when it first happened, everybody cared, and that's why it was such big news. But now?
Well, there's another point. They've been attacking the royal family, and a lot of it is just complete disingenuous bullcrap. Like the whole, they're all racist. When no, they weren't. Like all the quotes and the reference they try and claim, and so that's now you got my attention because it sounds like you're an absolute bullcrap artist, desperate for attention, and you deserve to be exposed. Hence why we're making a video like this, right? And why South Park made their episode on these two just grifting, empty people.
Did you want to talk a bit about the South Park episode?
Well, we're getting there. Is there any other kind of preamble that we wanted to cover?
Well, because I feel like the preamble to the South Park episode is what they did, but they do it with everything. It's this whole thing where they go on Oprah and say, we don't want to attack the royal family. We don't want to, we don't want to hurt them. We want to hear what they're racist. Also, they're this. And it's like, Really? Is that what you're going for? You're sure about that? Like, oh, I want to fix my relationship with my brother. Also, my brother, I think he's racist, and I think that like this.
Like some of the examples that they tried to share, someone commented on if the baby would, have darker skin or lighter skin.
Yeah.
And you could say it's insensitive, but I wouldn't say it's racist. Like, he wasn't saying, well, it would be a big problem if... no, he was saying, I wonder what the baby would look like.
Well, exactly right. It's not racist until you add some sort of...
Judgment to it. That was just a dumb question of curiosity, it sounded like. But no, that's racist, right? And also, right, so the only exposure I had with Meghan Markle before the whole royal hooking up with Harry thing... I was in Suits.
Too.
Didn't know, so the TV series Suits. Didn't
too.
know the actress's name. Never heard of her before. And I thought, like, holy crap, the character in Suits is built up like the most sexy, competent woman. And I was like, you're laying on a bit thick. Like, I was thinking they look, she's not like a 10 out of 10, but the show is just inflating her ego massively.
I had no problem with her on the show until she cheated on Ross or whatever his name was. That's when I stopped liking her character.
Well, my issue with it is that she was...
That's just in the show.
The show was basically just inflating the character well beyond how... Like, everyone loved her, it seemed like. And it's like, no, she seems a bit arrogant and full of herself and not that likable. Yeah. But the other thing, right, that exposure, unironically, this is true, I didn't see her and know that she was black. I thought she just had a tan. Am I the only one?
That's a fair assessment.
I never even... And so when they introduced the dad in the TV series, and he is like much darker skin, I was like, hey, what? What can I say? I just don't see race, right?
But yes, the only exposure that I ever had of her before was on Suits.
But the point that I'm making here, right, is that she is claiming, there's so much racism and stuff like that, when if people are judging someone based on visual appearance of the color of their skin, I think there's going to be a lot of people like me that don't even connect the dots.
Yeah,
and she's like, oh, there's racism that I always have to deal with. Like, you're almost white. What do I...
Well, that's why I started the whole thing with the culture aspect, because every time the criticism was brought when she was marrying him was always about the American being ignorant of, like, ancient, monarchy traditions, things like that. It was never like about color or race. It was always, oh, she's coming in here. You got to bow for the queen, but she doesn't want to bow. Like that sort of stuff. It was always Americanism, not anything to do with race.
Mm-hmm. But they attack the royal family, and so at this point, like, have you heard it? Like, they say it's conspiracy and stuff like that. So Diana was friendly with a certain chap. Okay.
Yes, I have heard this.
Yes, and around the time in which Harry would have been conceived.
I have seen the photos of the
And
youth.
this is like, to me, like a Game of Thrones moment. When Eddard Stark is like, so-and-so born, dark of eye, dark of hair, dark of eye, dark of hair. And they're just connecting certain visual...
I liken this theory to the same theory with... Do you know who Ronan Farrow is?
I've heard of him.
He's like a journalist who... There's a conspiracy that Frank Sinatra was his dad, and like when you look at photos of them, they look very similar in their youth. I liken it to that. It's more like we're probably never going to know.
Unless
for sure.
Someone actually sacks up and does a paternity test.
They're going to do that.
Because I'm not saying you can't find people who look similar in different periods, different times, and everything like that. The fact that we know who the person is, and they were friendly with Diana at the time, and there was impropriety in that marriage from early on, right? And then you see Harry and this guy, pictures XX. Like, it's uncanny, the resemblance.
The chance is not zero.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. The chance is not zero. I'm not going to make any definitive judgments.
So it seems rich that this guy has attacked the royal family, is extremely privileged upbringing and all that stuff, when, mate, it seems like your claim to that family might be shaky. So now we come to the South Park episode.
Yes, South Park. I love South Park. South Park is awesome. And no, I haven't seen the episode because, I work for a living, so I haven't seen it yet.
I watched it last night because I had a bout of insomnia. It's so weird, my friggin' thing. it affects your sleep habits, and so you rarely get restful sleep, and then it also causes sleep apnea, and then you get bouts of random times when you just can't sleep. So I was up until 4 a.m. last night, so I just watched the last two South Park episodes that are getting attention. I have a difficult relationship with South Park because I do think they can go way over the line, but I would never try and censor them or stop them. It means when they go over the line, it goes too far for my ability to appreciate or enjoy it because I just feel like this is.
I like it when they go over the line, even if I don't agree with it, even if it's not something that's funny. I like it because I feel like that as the moment they start to step back from it, they're already starting down the. They're already starting down the path to just.
Wow! And I'm not saying for them to stop. I'm just saying I can't enjoy it for how far they go.
Have you got a specific episode?
Now, okay, so the ones where I started to check out is like, and look, they're funny as well. This is all the evil kind of fictional creatures start to like break into the real world, and the creatures that Cartman had created in like a fictional story appear as well, and they start to talk about all these evil things they can do to. It's like, you're just not being evil enough. And look, I get the juxtaposition there. These cute little creatures that are just spouting some awful stuff. Look, and I'm not saying it isn't funny because there's this one point where I think like they get the soldiers to go in and try and take on these fairy tale creatures that Cartman had created in his fictional story, and they're being led by an actor, and I forget the actor. It might have been the one from Stargate, the film, and so Kurt Russell. I can't remember.
Right.
But if they go in, the animals just...
You say you don't like South
It's fun. I'm not saying it's not funny, but man, it's so... Like, and they start screaming, they're raping us in it. It was like... And look...
Have you seen the newer seasons with PC Principal?
Only clips. I haven't seen it.
Okay. I think you'll like the newer ones because they introduce more sensitive and...
I love that they don't hold back and just rip just cultural things. And by the way, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mormons, right? And the South Park episode on Mormons is friggin' hilarious.
Oh yeah, it is. I'll say that one.
And they are actually disingenuous, and they misrepresent one really big thing, which is actually the core kind of theme of the episode. But it's hilarious, right? It's funny as anything, and actually extremely complimentary compared to any other faith that they've ripped apart. One of the takeaways of it is that Mormons are insanely nice. And I was like, I'll take that.
Isn't that because of like social programming though?
Oh, no, I didn't get that from the episode. He was just the Mormon boy was just a really friendly guy.
All right.
And then and then his closing line where he just says "screw you" to
Yeah.
So maybe am I biased because out of all the people that ripped apart, the one I identify with, they were more complimentary than others. I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was hilarious. And I kind of respect that they just will go after anyone. I don't like misinformation. And for the Mormon episode, they did misrepresent the Mormon history and stuff like that. But okay, so it is funny though. And then we come to... the current episode. The
Megan and Harry episode.
The one before that was the whole Yee narrative, Kanye West thing.
Oh, right.
With Cupid Yee.
I haven't watched... I can't remember which season I'm up to, but I haven't watched the current one. I think I watched last year's season, but I need to catch up on this year's season. So the Harry and Megan episode, I have seen some clips, and it's basically they want their privacy with giant flashing sirens and like
they go on a privacy tour across the world where they tour everything, and what's hilarious, they don't ever call them Harry or Meghan. They're the Prince and Princess of Canada.
Right. From Canada.
Canada, yep. And look, they actually nail the whole thing, and savagely so, where they're claiming privacy and they are just so desperate for attention. And there's this one moment in the episode where, which is the one that Cartman always rips on
Kyle.
So Kyle's living across. They eventually come to South Park in their tour, and they're like, "Oh, they love it here. Well, you'll get a house." And they're making all this noise, all for attention.
Yeah.
And every time anyone looks at them for all their noise, they're like, "Why are you looking at us?
Right.
Give us your privacy!"
Yeah.
And they start banging drums and being noisy and obnoxious. And so Kyle, he eventually's like, "I know." Because he wants to rebrand himself, and one of his rebrandings is that nothing's going to bother him.
Yeah.
So he ignores them. And when he ignores them, she's like, "I think I'm being oppressed." And then Harry, no, it's not Harry, it's the Prince, goes over and is like, "I'm going to show him my blue balls." And so just for attention, he starts flashing him through the window.
Yeah.
And he gets ignored, and then that just sets them off even more.
Well, it is, because everything that they've done since they've left the royal family has been interview after interview, book, podcast deals, Netflix series deals.
This is how they get money at the moment.
Yeah.
This is their career. They're attention whores, right? Because if they don't get attention, where's the money going to come from?
Okay, hold on. They already have enough money, like more money than a normal person will see in their entire lifetime.
But
they could live comfortably for the rest of their lives right now, no problems.
But they want more
They want
money.
more money. Yes, they want more.
And Meghan wants to run for president.
Good luck with that. Good luck.
Well,
with
they're
that.
saying this South Park episode will likely harm her.
Good, because they want to sue, right? I seen an article
That's
today.
the thing. They're considering suing.
Right.
And if you want another point of evidence of how desperately fragile and narcissistic these people are, right?
So if they don't even mention them as Harry and Meghan in the episode, I doubt they would be able to sue. But I don't think they have a leg to stand on.
Even
if they did, they still wouldn't be able to.
They're public figures, and
Exactly.
so
they are public figures that public figures look up to. Like they are.
But the thing is, because they didn't name them by name, and they're just referred to as
The prince and princess.
Prince, and even though they look somewhat the same, parody, transformative nature.
South Park's been protected by that since the beginning.
Exactly. And they won't get anywhere, but go ahead and try. Yeah. Streisand effect that into the stratosphere if you want.
Do it. Because I'm going to now I have to check out this episode.
There's even... What impresses me about South Park is that they're able to weave a more complex kind of narrative through line in the episode. And they connect it between Kyle. I get the names mixed up. I haven't watched heaps of South Park, right? His desire to rebrand himself to be more popular and everything with what Meghan and Harry are doing, and that if you strip away those things that these false kind of things that that identify themselves, I'm a victim, I'm an influencer, everything. You strip those away, that they're hollow people. Yeah. And there's a part in the episode where Harry starts to try, or the character that's clearly inspired by Harry is trying to say maybe this is right, and he looks to the Meghan character
for confirmation,
and she says nothing, and he opens up, and she echoes inside, and like she's got nothing inside if you strip away those things. Well, they're hollow.
That is actually a really interesting critique about them, because as a prince, not just for Harry, for I'm sure all the royals, it's probably really difficult to develop personal character and personal morals and beliefs because you don't have any hardships that most normal people go through.
I feel they clearly have personalities and they're individuals, but they are not self-assured or confident in themselves as people because they need constant validation from everyone else. They need to be loved, and they can't stand that people hate them, and so they're desperate, so they try and do more to make look, we're victims, you feel sorry for us, everything, which just makes it worse and worse. Now that they're being railed in South Park, now they're going to sue because they're so desperate for that validation. They don't seem to be satisfied or confident with who they are as individuals, because when you're truly happy with who you are as a person, you don't need validation, okay? Because you're confident in your own abilities, and if people say, you're a terrible person, it's like, well, you're lying, because I know that's not true. I do this and this, or like, it's like when people try to rip me apart for, I don't know, the quality of one of my works, right? If it's artwork or if it's writing, everything like that as well, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It gives me satisfaction and I know that it's good. I don't need your approval to feel good about the things I'm making because you're confident in yourself.
I personally wouldn't link that to happiness. I link it more to hardship. Because when you go through hardship and trials, you build confidence
You build
in
character.
yourself.
Yes, you do.
And then you don't need, let's say, outside influence to validate what
Yes.
you know to be true about yourself.
Yeah. Hardship certainly helps build that. I
personally
totally agree.
wouldn't link it to happiness, but I agree with what you said. I just wouldn't link it to
How did I link it to happiness?
You say, like, well, if you're happy with something, then that's how you know that you can be confident in something.
Yeah, well, when you're happy with something, you're satisfied with the result and you're confident enough in your ability to, gauge it that you don't need validation to be happy with it is basically what I'm saying. But to reach that point, struggle is one of the things that certainly helps you get there because it tests you as an individual and you're able to build that character. And so it's a good point you raise because it makes you wonder
what have you actually struggled with? Because I feel like it's one of those fundamental things that most people, regular people, have gone through something or multiple things in their life.
I'm sure they've struggled in life, but maybe they don't handle it well. They probably have been, because when people struggle and then they're given an easy out where they just,
that's exactly
where it's
okay, all right.
You're a winner anyway. You don't need to overcome these issues or everything like that. It's okay, or everyone else is in the wrong and you're fine. That's when
You're right.
Those struggles can lead to a horrible kind of
That's where I should clarify. When I say struggles and suffering in life, I mean usually when you say that to a normal person, there's nothing really to fall back on. They have to either fall back on themselves or they have a small group to actually help deal with these things.
Yeah.
As a prince or a princess, you have an easy way out, basically. So you don't really have to. There might be inner turmoil, but there's no actual turmoil in the world around you, which is that's how I would put it.
Yeah, and so the episode is just very skaty. There's just little things here and there, and it's worth a watch, just that episode alone, I would say. Look, if it goes too far, because South Park, there's swearing, there's crudeness, and so you have to listen.
Well, I checked out one of your FNT episodes the other day, and it's funny to watch all of the guys swear and everything, and you're just always so PG about everything.
I keep it clean.
It might go too far for Shad, but
yes, exactly. And look, there's people in our audience who have different kind of standards of what
that's
they
fine.
like to tolerate and what is too far for them. So that's my kind of warning for them. But it doesn't mean that South Park can't make not only scathing, but sometimes important social commentaries, because they do call out the actions, the way that Harry and Meghan are behaving, and also. Sorry, what?
There's an episode. I can't remember what it's called. It's the woman one. How it's like the vice principal woman is competing against the 7-foot wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm a woman.
I don't want to talk about my transition.
So they do a lot of social commentary recently, and you said they did a Kanye episode as well.
Yeah, last
is that good?
episode. It's funny. It's
Because
really
I want to check that one out now.
It's really funny, and what's hilarious, right? So, Cupid basically has fallen down a certain rabbit hole and is now spouting all the conspiracies that Kanye is, and is Cupid Yay, and is this little thing that it's like a ghost that Cartman sees.
Yeah.
And he first wants to use the rhetoric to break up Tolkien, which is the black character, and Carl playing together.
Yeah.
And so he starts to try and spread all these same conspiracies. But then there's an interview where Carmen is wearing that Kanye mask and stuff. And the Cupid angel thing is trying to feed him information and is going along with it. And then it tries and says, yeah, and Hitler is this. And then Carmen's like, whoa, hold on, that's too far. So I would caution everyone to not try and use South Park as the standard of insightful social commentary to agree with everything they say and stuff, but they can whip out some pearlers. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't consider them the best examples of people to follow. These are guys.
They have more W's than L's.
That is very true. That's true. I do think that in terms of because they seem to be able to see the absurdity in society.
Yeah.
And call it out and mock it. And what's crazy what's genuinely crazy is that their parodies sometimes are not different from reality.
That's true. That's true.
like you'd think it's so absurd it could never happen, but now we're in clown world because like that episode where they're competing, in the thing, like that's happening.
Yeah, that's happening in
happening.
the real world. But yeah, was that everything for the Meghan and Markle?
Yeah, well, that's basically everything.
For now.
We'll see where it goes. But if they try and sue, that'll just be hilarious because they'll just draw more attention to it. They will not win at all. And it'll be another massive L for them and sign of how narcissistic, where they need the validation. They need people to love them and they can't stand that anyone would dare mock them. And like, I'm somewhat of a public figure, nowhere near to that level, but even I get like insanely savage mockery and sometimes such disingenuous lies spread about me, like you wouldn't believe. It's part of life, Okay. And so, but they.
You sure you don't want to make an anagram of these people? Like, Rehab of crooks.
Rehab of crooks.
That actually got me. That was hilarious, though,
Yeah,
to be honest.
I mean, and the funniest part for me, though, is that he unironically thinks this is, like, insightful.
Yeah, like maybe the universe is telling me something. No, dude, you're an idiot.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. And, as always...
Stay on watch.
Do what he says.